The driving factor for the last few decades really has been large move of manufacturing capacity to low-cost environments, what I call make in the East and sell in the West. Now that is changing because obviously the cost factors in those markets are increasing, labor costs are increasing, also domestic consumption in those markets is increasing. But if you tie that to the idea of the importance of being close to your customer and being responsive to your customer, then you are going to inevitably look at a more balanced approach to where you produce and how you distribute. And that, I think, is going to lead to a hybrid model, but a lot of the higher value activity will need inevitably to move to be closer to point of consumption. What I always say about COVID and the pandemic, in many respects, what it has done is to really stomp on the accelerator of things that were already happening. And there's also a tremendous number of new technologies that are coming to bear. And the combination of these two things creates an opportunity for the biggest single change in supply chains since the introduction of the standardized shipping container. What we like to think of as the zero latency supply chain. Latency in the supply chain really can be thought of as captured capital. If you have any delay in moving material or in innovating product, what you're really talking about is locking up the assets of your business in a non-productive way. And if you can move that into a system that is faster, quicker to respond with zero latency, then you're much more able to compete more effectively and make better use of your company assets. I think it's important to note that this isn't the same as just, let's not have any inventory. I think the lesson of COVID has shown us that resiliency is also important. And so there's a lot of different aspects that can be brought to bear, obviously efficiency in transportation, efficiency in logistics in general, but also looking more broadly, the ability for you to identify new business trends very quickly, adapt your supply chains to support them, innovate new products, and do that with as little friction as possible, with as little latency as possible. The other major factor in that, frankly, is the growth of e-commerce. Fast is the new cheap. Next day becomes same day. And you take that together with the other dimensions that we talked about in terms of how we're going to a more hybrid model for production. And you have a very complicated environment. And it's the companies that have the systems in place, have the network analysis in place, have the AI, the big data, the predictive capabilities that are going to thrive in that new business model. We believe firmly that the better you can forecast demand in general, the more effective you're going to be. But the challenge, of course, is you have an unprecedented circumstance. How do you forecast that? Well, there's tools available for that too. And we've built those into our software. We just produced a white paper around that that can let you use these causal factors to adjust the way you forecast demand. Supply chain is front of mind now. It's in the exiting of a challenging period that companies most often change their position vis-a-vis their competition. And that can be either for good or bad. You can go up or you can go down. Now's the time to begin. So the sooner you start having these conversations inside your business, sooner you start discussing the art of the possible, challenging the status quo, and bringing in place the kind of systems that let you support that, the sooner the better.